Hello everyone, Shadefyre here, and welcome to the very first episode of Let's Play Resident Evil Zero. This is of course the remastered HD edition that was recently released on PC and modern gen consoles. This is of course the PC version. And it's been a while coming. I've been meaning to do this Let's Play for about a year, but messing around with Dolphin and couldn't really get the sound stuff to not clip. So when they announced this, I said, fuck it, we'll just wait for this to come out and do a Let's Play then. So Resident Evil Zero is one of the only Resident Evils that had a bit of a troubled development history, except for Resident Evil 2, which again got scrapped and went back to the drawing board. But Resident Evil Zero was originally conceived, I guess, not long after the first game came out as a prequel that was supposed to be developed for the Nintendo 64 Double D, which was the add-on that was a disk drive that stuck to the bottom of the N64. But when that sold super terribly, they decided they'd just make a regular N64 cartridge game. Now, the reason they wanted to make this for the N64 instead of just using the PlayStation was because they wanted to have the character swapping system that allowed you to swap characters on the fly, regardless of where they were. Obviously they couldn't do that on a disc because of the loading times at the time, so cartridge was the only way they could really do that in a way that worked. And they even showed off in 2000 at TGS, or TGS Spring, because I guess there used to be two TGSs. The prototype N64 version, there's some actual footage there. But, they kept running into limitations with the super tiny size of an N64 cartridge, so eventually it got scrapped until the GameCube. At which point they basically redeveloped everything, kept the story and stuff, and, developed all the assets from the ground up. So, we're gonna jump into this. I will say, too, that this is one of the least popular classic Resident Evil type games. I don't really know why. I've read people's complaints about it, but I really don't share them. I don't think this is one of the best ones. Obviously, Remake is quite a bit better, but it's certainly not bad, and I like it more than Code Veronica, which I'm sure is a controversial opinion. Anyhow, let's get into this. We're just going to go on normal because hard is a bit bullet spongy for an LP.
Resident Evil Zero.
And that all looks good. We're going to use the original tank controls because I don't really like the alternate controls. I'm just not used to them. I'm used to the tank controls.
A Midwestern town in America, Raccoon City. A solitary island far off in the sea, Rockfort Island. An island that would become the second Raccoon City, Sheena Island.
That no one's heard of.
There are still many unanswered questions about these seemingly unrelated yet intensely traumatic events. Though it is believed that the international enterprise umbrella was somehow involved, little is known as to the origin of this faceless corporation. When was it established? By whom? And how was the T-virus created? To uncover the truth, we must delve deeper into the events which transpired in the beginning, before the mansion incident.
I'm not sure why they went with this, documentary intro, because that never really comes up again.
Do you think so too?
Yeah.
Do about it.
Hold off for a while.
But I wonder how those R&D people would react to this.
Began as a simple investigation of some bizarre murders in the suburbs of Raccoon City. Nothing in our training could ever have prepared us for the nightmare that ensued. We never stood a chance.
What's going on? Engine failure. Emergency landing.
Check the current position and investigate the surrounding area.
Captain, look! Captain!
What happened?
Court order for transportation. Prisoner Billy Coen, ex-lieutenant, 26 years old. Court-martialed and sentenced to death July 22nd. Prisoners to be transferred to the Regathon base for execution.
Those poor soldiers. They were good men just doing their jobs, and that scum murdered them and escaped.
All right, everyone, let's separate and survey the area. Our friend is brutal and ruthless. Keep your guard up.
A train?
And thus it begins. So, some sort of Castlevania character has inflicted something terrible upon the people of this train, and now, unfortunately for, Rebecca Chambers here, of Bravo Team, she's poked her nose into it. So, Rebecca obviously was a side character in Resident Evil, the original. She's Chris's support character, but she is one of the two protagonists of this game. I say two because this game uses a slightly different system than the other ones. There's no pick one character and play as the other in your next playthrough, but we'll be seeing that shortly. Obviously things did not go too well for these people.
This is Officer Chambers from STARS Bravo Team. Please identify yourself. Is someone there?
The government has announced that it has set out to of our department. But as of 2 years ago, when several plans were set up, the local government stepped in and took over.
Zombies. Who would have expected zombies on this train? Full of dead people. Just like the zombies from other classic Resident Evils, these guys take quite a few bullets.
What just happened? I thought they were dead.
Rebecca has very little hesitation about killing them, though. which is a little surprising considering she is meant to be Bravo Team's medic, and, you know, she's not really meant to be in the field. She's also like 19, somehow, and a member of this paramilitary organization, but that's Veggie Games for you. That scene there is actually very similar to the original prototype version of it, minus the CG cutscene. So that's pretty neat. Of course, people on the sort of release of that footage were like, oh, why didn't they include that version with this version of the game? But as far as they've said, there's only about 20% of that version that was ever completed before they ran into too many problems, so there isn't really much to include. Kind of like the leaked prototype of Resident Evil 1.5. There's really not a lot probably there that could be playable, aside from that very opening part they showed off. So obviously there's some Umbrella folk aboard this train. Not really beating around the bush here about that. Let's just ignore the possible outbreak of our company's virus and talk about our research here and investigating this old facility. One of the other plethora of things I've seen people complain about recently with this game's release is that, oh, I'm not going to play it until that guy releases another door skip mod because, ugh. I mean, yeah, the doors aren't necessary for loading, but it's a Resident Evil thing. It would be kind of stupid if they removed them because then, well, one, the game would be at least 15% shorter. But I don't know. They don't bother me whatsoever. So there's another Umbrella facility in the Arklay Mountains. Not counting the Spencer Mansion, there is the Management Training Facility. Sure, that won't be important. Which, as we can tell from these, was closed down at some point and they were considering reopening it. Shouldn't that be an eye? You might notice that we're in a save room, obviously by the save room music, but there is no item box. That is because Resident Evil Zero, one of the things it tried to change from the formula was, rather than having item boxes to store your stuff, you can actually pretty much just drop anything, anywhere. Which is, it's handy, but also has its own problems. For one, it means that, you know, if you run into a key item, you don't have to run all the way back to your item box, free up some space, and then run back to get the key item. On the other hand, it means you have to drop whatever you're carrying, and then come back and get it later if it's important. So you're still backtracking, you're just backtracking to not the same spot every time. It's also an ink ribbon, but we don't need that right now, we're not going to save right away. We're just going to carry on our investigation of the Ecliptic Express. I mean, he doesn't really look torn apart. He's mostly still together.
Billy. Lieutenant Coen.
So, you seem to know me. Been fantasizing about me, have you?
You're the prisoner that was being transferred for execution. You were with those soldiers outside.
Oh, I see. You're with stars. Well, no offense, honey, but your kind doesn't seem to want me around, so I'm afraid our little chat time is over.
Wait! You're under arrest.
No thanks, Dollface. I've already worn handcuffs.
I could shoot, you know. Edward! Are you alright? What happened?
It's worse than... We can't. You must be careful, Rebecca. The forest is full of zombies and monsters.
Zombies and monsters.
A zombie and or monster.
Who are you?
No. Who are you? Huh, I see. You're with stars. You came from that chopper I saw, huh?
What happened to you?
Rebecca. Monsters.
Monsters?
In the woods. No chance. Ah.
Zombie dogs. Zombie dogs in this are actually not much of a problem because even your pistol will stun them. Oh fuck, bad time to reload. I still got my reload though. It's a good thing because when you get interrupted in reloading in this game, you still actually get the reload. You don't have to restart. Come on, dog. They still make crazy monkey sounds though when you shoot them. And already we've lost a Bravo team member. We're actually not going to lose a whole lot more of them though, because of course most of them do survive to die in the Arklay Mansion instead in the first game. You know, Richard Eichen gets bit by a giant snake, and Kenneth Sullivan just gets eaten by a zombie, and Forrest Spare gets pecked to death by crows and becomes a horrible exploding zombie. Oh, and also Captain Enrico Marini? Marini, I think? I was going to say Martini. Enrico Marini, who meets an unfortunate end by a traitor. Also, I hadn't considered it before, but I guess this entire Resident Evil 0 and 1 can be traced back to mysterious helicopter malfunction, which, now that I think about it, I guess could have been caused by a certain traitorous STARS member as well to set things into motion. Either that or they just really don't take very good care of their helicopter. And to dig deeper into things, where do they even keep that helicopter? Because the Raccoon City Police Department has one helipad, and I'm pretty sure there was already a helicopter on it. I don't know, maybe that helicopter wasn't from there. Emergency escape ladder that just goes to the roof. And this is such a fancy luxury train that it has a second floor. Wouldn't this phone be useless anyway? You can't really have a landline from a train, can you? I mean, unless this phone just connects to different cars, which is entirely possible. And Rebecca's not really too keen on slopping her way through those eggs, so we can't go that way yet. Check your inventory here at this key we picked up. Just like Resident Evil Remake, you can, examine your items in 3D and sometimes get interactions or other details from them. Like this one, where it says dining cat, but it actually says dining car. There's not really a lot of places to go, obviously. It's a train. We can only go forward, backward, or up. And we can't just leave because zombies and monsters.
This is Rebecca. Over.
This is Rico. What's your location? Over.
Enrico! Hello! Can you read me? Please respond.
Rebecca, I can hear you. Now listen up. We've obtained detailed information on the fugitive from a document found in the wrecked wagon. Billy Coen killed as many as 23 people. Over.
23 people.
We have also confirmed that he was institutionalized, so keep your guard up. Can you hear me, Rebecca? Over. Stay alert, Rebecca. He wouldn't think twice before killing you.
Enrico! Captain! Hello? Hello!
I will say that one of this game's definite weak points is every single interaction Rebecca has with her captain and fellow team members. She's not going to mention, oh, Captain, I found this train. It's full of zombies. Or, hey, Captain, Edward's dead. He got killed by zombie dogs. Or, hey, Captain, Billy Coen is on this train with me. No, don't mention any of that. Just be astounded that Billy killed some people. Also, oddly, the door is locked that we came in from. Well, I guess we came in from that side. No, we don't have time for you, zombie. We gotta go see the dining cat.
It's gonna be dangerous from here on in. Why don't we cooperate?
Cooperate with you?
Listen, little girl, if you haven't noticed, there's some pretty freaked out things on this train. And I, for one, want to get out of here. I don't think we stand a chance doing it alone.
You expect me to trust you, a wanted felon? I don't need your help. I can handle this on my own. And don't call me little girl.
All right, Miss Do-It-Yourself. What should I call you?
The name is Rebecca Chambers, but that's Officer Chambers to you.
Well then, Rebecca, why don't you go and try while I wait here?
Officer Becky is a strong, independent young woman. She doesn't have no room for your shit. Rebecca's not a very good police officer. Again, she's like a medic. I assume her job is probably like forensics most of the time or something. I imagine she probably doesn't do a lot of arrests. But nobody takes her seriously. Hold on. So, when you're closing the dining car, presumably at night, because, the chefs aren't going to be cooking anymore, switch off the automatic doors. To do that, you have to go on the roof of the 5th car. Are you supposed to do this while the train is moving? Anyhow, we can't go through the door because the power's off, even though the lights are on, and, everything else that takes power is working fine. And we can't get past Officer Coen, or not Officer, Ex-Lieutenant Billy Coen here, the murderer. Stranded alone with a murderer on a train. So we're gonna go upstairs. It's probably not a good thing that the train is on fire.
Excuse me, sir. Sir.
Granddad. We're not gonna deal with him. We're just gonna run away.
Are you okay?
Someone's singing the hymn of the faith. Except this one's just a leech summoner.
Who is that guy?
What's going on? Who's controlling the train?
Go and check out the first engine car. Listen, we gotta cooperate with each other from now on. You got that?
Well, I don't...
Clue in, girl. Or maybe you like being worm bait.
All right. But you just remember, I will shoot you if you try anything funny.
Fine. Now take these with you. If you find anything, give me a call, all right?
So, and this is the other kind of big difference between this and the other Resident Evils. We actually control both characters at once. Or rather, we control one, the AI controls the other, and we can swap between them on the fly. Like so. However, if you want to be really silly, you can actually directly control both of them using, WSAD for your main character, and you control the other one with the arrow keys, so you can do things like this. But there's almost never a time for that's useful, except for when, they need to stand on a switch and they're a little bit out of place. However, we're not going to be keeping them together for most of the game because I find that's really kind of a waste. The AI is not very good, they'll waste your ammo, they'll take damage, which will waste your health. And because we have two characters, healing items are a bit scarce since we need to heal for two.
I'll check it out.
Roger.
The other difference here, Billy has a different gun than Rebecca. Rebecca has the sort of STARS standard issue, Joseph Kendo, Samurai Edge custom Beretta 92. It's not great. It's kind of just a default pistol. On the other hand, Billy has this like 9mm 1911, which weirdly says is a standard Army issue handgun, even though the 1911 got replaced by the M9 quite a while ago. But whatever, Japan. His gun does a little bit more damage than Rebecca's, and has a higher chance of a random critical headshot, which will, kill a zombie instantly. He also has a knife. We're gonna ditch that, because it's a knife and it's garbage. I'm no pro Resident Evil player, and I will not be doing a knife-only run anytime soon. Other differences is Billy, like most male Resident Evil characters, has more health than Rebecca, which, makes him better for kind of tanking combat. He also has a lighter, which, also like very many Resident Evil characters, is empty for some reason. I mean, who carries around an empty Zippo all the time? But that'll come in handy in the future. Rebecca also has a mixing kit, because, unique to this game, only one of the characters is capable of mixing herbs, so if we want to mix any herbs into better healing items, you need to give them to Rebecca first. Which is a little bit of a pain, kind of unnecessary, but I guess they needed to give her something unique. The mixing kit also does have another use. It's useful for a specific puzzle, but otherwise it's pretty much just letting her mix herbs. You might also notice that both characters have this suitcase. This is just a costume switching thing. In the original game, you needed a costume key that you got from beating the game that would unlock a closet that would allow you to switch them. Now you can just switch them on the fly. And a bunch of the ones that were just unlocks in this originally are now unlocked by default. And of course, because Capcom needed to get some DLC in there, there are DLC costumes. It's kind of neat, because a bunch of them are references to other costumes in different Resident Evils. You know, kind of every costume that Rebecca has had in various re-releases and like Mercenaries 3D and stuff is in here. Billy doesn't have as many. We'll maybe show those off at some point in the future, but for now we'll stick with the defaults. Alright, so now that all that's out of the way, we're gonna give Billy some ammo. We're gonna give Billy most of Rebecca's ammo, and we're gonna split up our characters here.
This way.
Yeah,
No, wait.
I'll go.
yeah,
This way.
okay,
I just love that. Okay.
I'll go check over there.
yeah.
So Rebecca is gonna go through here. Which leads up to the roof of this speeding train in the middle of the rain. Somehow she's not immediately slipped and flew off. Like, okay, it's one thing to be on a speeding train and somehow not lose your balance, but when it's soaking wet, that's a little bit much. Something out here putting holes in the train. And that cable just sticks together. So the train is pretty heavily infested with leeches. Probably not leeches. Oh, no biggie, we landed in this car, and hey, look, a key. Let's go meet up with Billy. Well, damn. So this is the first kind of two-character puzzle. Essentially, Rebecca is trapped in this room, and we need to find her something sharp so she can get out, and send it up to her via this little service lift. We could have used either character for this, but again, since Billy has more health and a better pistol, I usually use him for the combat stuff like that. So we'll send him down this key. And that's kind of the hot swapping there. You notice how we didn't have to go through a loading screen or anything? Just immediately loads into where the other character is. I've actually also heard people complain that that takes too long. It's like 3 seconds. And it's not like you're doing, you know, quick on-the-fly swaps to get stuff done. So this door is unlocked now because we turned on the power. But it's locked from there, and there's a little panel here, but we don't have a tool for it. Back here we have the little other end of the dumbwaiter. I guess the idea is they'd cook stuff here and then send it up from there so they could carry it out to the dining car. We got the conductor room key, which we saw that when we first met Billy, back at the front of the train. There's a lot of that in this first area. You know, basically you get a key, you go run across the train, then you run back with another key. But the train area is not super long. The whole game, spoilers, does not take place on this train. There's a critical headshot. Probably a waste there, since he was probably only 1 or 2 shots away from death anyway. Re-death. That's my preferred way of dealing with these zombies. Shoot them till they fall down, run past them so they can't grab you easily when they get up, and then pop some more shots into them. This game was apparently designed to be more difficult than the other Resident Evils, but honestly, a lot of that comes from the item management stuff more than the actual enemies. We'll come back for you later. One thing I'll say is, like that Leech Man area where we first saw, the Leech guy put himself together, we could have stayed there and fought him, and once he died, we still would have got the same cutscene as we did when we ran away. So there are a lot of areas in the game like that where they're just there to screw you over if you don't know they're coming, or if you don't know the way to deal with them properly. Alright, so we're going to run around the corner here. Use the conductor key. And then we're actually going to save here and call it for the first episode now that we've got our characters established and our gameplay mechanics. Next time, we're going to help Rebecca get out of that room and maybe finish up the train, because there's really not that much to it. Might also find out where those holes in the train came from. Alright, so that'll do it for the very first episode of Let's Play Resident Evil 0 HD Remaster. I've been Shadefyre, this is Billy, and I'll see you again next time. Till then, you folks all take care and keep your noses out of any trains you find in the forest, eh?